welcome to the Dr. Gundry podcast. There's one thing we do around 35,000 times a day that could be having a huge impact on your health. And no, I'm not talking about blinking or breathing. I'm talking about making decisions. Bet you didn't think about that, did you? That's right. Whether it's eating breakfast, calling a friend, or tuning into this podcast, you're constantly making choices, whether you know it or not. Well, my guest today says that these decisions have a much bigger impact on your life than you might think. In fact, he says that almost every aspect of life, from relationships to careers to how we treat others, can be traced back to just one decision we've made in the past. He's Coach Mike Bayer, a New York Times best-selling author, TV personality, and mental health advocate with a track record of helping A-list celebrities heal and recover. Mike also has a brand new book out called One Decision, The First Step to a Better Life. And today, Mike and I are going to discuss how you can start making decisions that will help transform your obstacles into opportunities, find your purpose, improve your mental health and relationships, and even help you make more money. Mike, it's great to have you on the show.
Thank you, Dr. Gundry. Wonderful introduction you just gave.
Wow, I want to hear. I got to hear more about this, and I know our listeners do too. So you've worked with literally thousands of people across all imaginable walks of life. So what type of person did you write this book for?
You know, I love working with people that are lost. You know, they're stuck. They don't know what they should do. They maybe feel all alone. They feel like they've tried things so many times and it just hasn't worked out for them, and they've kind of settled in life. I also love a person who's depressed or who struggles with low self-esteem, or addicts. Those are my people that really self-sabotage. So I wrote the book look, I've helped a lot of people who are very high performing, but at the end of the day, I love the person that's like in their apartment, feels overwhelmed, and just doesn't know what decision they need to make next.
Well, and also, at least in our culture, it would appear that very high performing people are sometimes some of the most lost individuals there are.
Amen. It's the truth. And that the general public believes that they're quite put together. And, there's a whole facade culture that exists, especially with social media, that makes people believe that they're not enough when really this is a widespread issue.
Have you noticed during COVID that this feeling of being alone and depression has just intensified to levels maybe even you haven't seen before?
That's a great question. And so one of the businesses, I've been in mental health over 18 years. I've owned a treatment center for over 15. And that business in particular, there's kind of this new wave energy around telehealth and get your therapy online, and you could do it from the comfort of your own home. Billions of dollars are being spent. I mean, I don't know the exact figure, but a lot of money. You see the ads on TV, a lot. What we found, we went all online, and then we also have in person. The people who are just online have twice as likely a relapse to happen while they're in treatment with us. They're also half as likely to complete our program. So what we've seen is a huge increase in our mental health clients. We used to be about 50-50, half were, drug addicts and alcoholics. The other half were anxiety and depressive disorders. Now we've seen a huge spike with just pure mental health. And so, to answer your question, it's been pretty extreme in terms of the stress that's going on out there.
Okay, so in one decision, your book, the word authenticity comes up all the time, and you say it's the key to better decision making. What do you mean by authenticity?
Well, I don't know if people who can listen right now can see your socks, but your socks, to me, message to me that you're authentically wearing a pair of purple. What, are those turtles on your socks?
Well, they're actually artichokes, but yes,
Artichokes.
they're artichokes in purple. So
Okay.
yeah.
So it's decisions that we make in how we present to the world and how we present to ourselves. The word authenticity kind of, in my opinion, has got quite lost because it's been through this assembly line of what is authentic and what is real. But it's who we are. We're all unique. It's our integrity. It's how we carry ourselves. It's how we express ourselves. It's how we play in our art. And it's something that we have to go back to over and over again because otherwise we risk really losing ourselves. And I've seen that a lot with people is they start trying to be like other people and then they end up really feeling lost.
Do you think social media has had a big influence on that? I mean, you're trying to be somebody else.
Yeah, and to be real, I'm newer in this I've been a coach for 18 years, but I'm newer in this social media coaching world. These coaches, they're all buying their followers and preaching about authenticity. And to be honest, and no one's saying anything because they're all doing it. And I just think it's like, which it annoys me. It's not even jealousy. I'm just like, just be real. You're trying to help people, speak from an honest place. But across the board, I feel like social media has made it very difficult. The people I know who don't use social media are generally more at peace and happy with themselves.
You mean you actually know someone who doesn't use social media anymore? This is great.
Yeah, well, they're people who don't need social media. I mean, you and I, that's part of how we reach our people.
Sure.
And it's how we connect. And if you don't have a social media as an author today, you're probably not getting a book deal. So, it's part of what you have to do. And it's figuring out how to do it in a form that really represents you.
All right, give me an example of an.
And I sounded jaded right there.
Well,
but
give me an example of an authentic decision. Apparently, I made an authentic decision wearing artichoke socks today.
Well, I think it's you make an authentic decision when you're writing Plant Paradox or those types of books. You're not you're passionate about what you're writing about, and it may be easier to come up with some catchy name as a diet book and do something that could potentially sell, or you could overpromise. But authenticity to me is about being honest. So an authentic decision is any decision that lines up with who you are. So for me, I'm a little, I like to use creativity. So I refer to my authenticity or my best self as a wizard named Merlin. And I try to bring in Merlin into different settings. And Merlin's wise and compassionate and funny. I have him tattooed all over my body. I got wizards all over me. I sent you a One Decision box. You probably saw a wizard on the box too.
Yes.
Yeah. So to me, for those of us who need reminders, it's figuring out what represents our authenticity and to lean into that.
All right. So you say many of us make inauthentic decisions. Okay. What do you mean by that?
We make decisions that aren't honest or to people please, or we don't speak up because we're afraid. We do what our parents told us we should do when we grow up. We don't, it's anything that's out of alignment with just who we are. For some people, it's out of alignment if they're part of a religion and they have certain integrity and ethics as a part of that. And but we all do it every day. I mean, the reality is we're all a work in progress. I mean, I'm a life coach, but some days I feel more disheveled than some of my clients. We're all doing our best we can with what we know, So it's that part of us that gets in the way of us evolving.
Okay, so how do you start our listeners making more authentic decisions?
Well, I think it's first figuring out where is a listener making a decision, or what area of, it's always helpful to go, okay, what area of life is not working, or our brain is telling us it's not working or we can't do it. For some people, it's health. They struggle with, sticking to a plan, and they will say that it doesn't work because of A, B, C, or D, or they try to get together with a certain diet, even though it doesn't line up with who they are. So, I mean, the first thing is to figure out what area of life I always go is, do you wish you could evolve in? Do you wish you could grow in? So, because we make over 35,000 decisions a day, it's pretty overwhelming to go, okay, what's our first authentic decision? But I always find it's helpful to look at what's not working. Like, what are we not happy with? And we don't often take the time to sit back and go, okay, what area of our life are we unhappy with? Is it our health? Is it our relationships? Is it our employment? Is it our spirituality? And then once you figure out, okay, and I write in one decision, I write in the style of being somebody's life coach, and there's an assessment to help someone figure out what is that area. And it's interesting because a lot of people I sit down with, I'll say, what do you want to work on? And the thing they want to work on is not actually the thing that once we start talking, they really need to address it today. I'm sure you see that as a doctor all the time. They'll
Sure.
come in with one thing and you totally lead them over to the other side. And so that is, once you get an assessment, you go, all right, well, let's focus on this one area. Then we get in the area and we go, okay, what feels off? And then we look at their own authenticity in that area and go, well, why don't we figure out how to do it your way? So.
And do most people, when you point that out to them, know what their way really should be?
Yeah, because the way I'll do it is I'll go by feeling. I'll try to tap into like what excites them or what is kind of their light. But if I say to someone, okay, you say that you need to exercise more, which is so broad.
Yeah.
I'll say, okay, well, what have you, it's just like you do as a doctor, I'm sure, is like, what have you tried in the past that you liked? What have you always wanted to do? Life's short. Like you guys were talking, I overheard it before I came on this point. Life is short. It comes and goes and we all pass away. So what is that thing you want to start trying? And when you go there with it, people usually have ideas.
Great. Now, in the book, you explain that perception is ultimately what dictates whether we will make a decision that leads to a better life or a decision that leads to more stress. Now, how does that one work?
Yeah, so we all, again, sometimes it's really helpful to think about what area of life is the most frustrating. We tend to get in these loops, day after day. Sometimes they're very small things, sometimes they're bigger things. But it's first figuring out that problem, like what is that problem in your life? How are you perceiving the problem? So in cognitive behavioral therapy, it's called cognitive distortions, and CBT has been around forever, and it's a practice that a lot of clinicians use because what it does is it gets someone out of viewing their problem a certain type of way and viewing it differently. So what I find is when someone has a problem area that they can't seem to resolve, they either fortune tell and go, well, that couldn't work for me. That sounds good, but I tried that diet back in the day. So Dr. Gundry, that's not going to work, or whatever they come up with. Or they overgeneralize. They get into right fighting. They sit in confusion, or they emotionally reason, which means they kind of believe feelings are facts. And so what I try to do is help someone get out of that mindset to look at like, what is the truth? And the majority of time when people can really change their perception about the problem, they then can make decisions that are what we're talking about, authentic decisions.
Gotcha. So, how do you switch from viewing something as an obstacle to viewing it as an opportunity? And I bring that up because so many people, COVID has been probably one of the biggest, at least in their thinking, obstacles to happiness, success, money, job, you name it, seeing friends. How take us through it?
Well, it's a choice, like we can choose to view it as a problem or an obstacle, or we can work really hard to see it as an opportunity. Because, I guess when I've asked people before and I talk about in one decision, when I say, what are the top 3 most critical decisions you've made in your life? 9 times out of 10, those decisions they made were a lot more difficult than decisions they've made in this last year. Whether it's getting out of a divorce, whether it's coming out as gay, whether it's getting sober, whatever it is, we're a hell of a lot harder than what's gone on this last year. And so when people realize that, they can go, all right, I haven't met someone in the last year when I've sat down with them that's gone, this past year was harder than these 3 critical decisions I made in my life. So when you can help someone's brain start to understand that, they go, I got this.
That's a great example. Actually, in my upcoming book, The Energy Paradox, towards the end and the afterwards, I remind people that life doesn't happen to you. It actually happens for you, and it's perception of exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, what do you find in your work is the most common perception that people have that you help them kind of change?
Actually, I think one of the most common ones is I can't help being a diabetic, or I can't help having heart disease because my family history. I can't help it. I'm destined to have these problems, and there's nothing that I can do that will change that, and that's why I am fat, diabetic, have high blood pressure, and have 2 stents. I can't help it.
And that they just are committed to that belief.
Yeah, that's their belief system, correct.
Yeah, same thing I see. Yeah.
All right. You also say that our force is responsible for the way we view things. Okay, now wait a minute. You're not talking Star Wars, are you? Does the force?
No, but it does kind of sound
need to be with me, or? Actually,
yeah. Well, the force is the driver behind our decisions. So the force are the thoughts and feelings. And as I mentioned, it's an acronym. I love an acronym.
Yep.
And I just took cognitive distortions from CBT, tongue twister, and turned it into hacks. So when someone's fortune telling, in one decision we talk about it, we get into the fact finding, and that's around a problem. Like, I'm diabetic, therefore I'm destined for doom. Well, let's look at the facts. I'm still alive. There's other people out there that have been able to be diabetic and be successful. Hey, there's other people in my family that have been able to. I can control what I put in my body. It's looking at the facts. There's overgeneralizing, and the hack would be objective thinking. And there's rigidity or right fighting. Nope, I'm diabetic. This is it. Or it's being relaxed and going, there could be another way. The C is for confused purpose, and the other C is for clarified purpose. So this is when people don't know why they're eating a certain type of way, and they don't know why they got to stick to a certain type of diet. Well, does it line up with your purpose? So you can get out of confusion. And the last is, and what I find the most during COVID that people struggle with, is emotional reasoning, and the hack is evidence-based thinking. So What I find a lot of people think right now is, I feel this way, therefore this is what's going on. And feelings aren't facts. Thank God feelings aren't facts.
We're seeing that a lot on the news recently, apparently.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so what does overgeneralizing and stereotypes have to do with all of this?
So that would say, when people overgeneralize, they limit themselves from opportunities. So that's when somebody goes, oh, they would never hire me because I don't have a college degree. Well, it's not true, but a lot of people have that thought. Or they would say, oh yeah, that works. Those celebrities can get fit because they're celebrities and they have chefs. And you're like, well, there's also a lot of celebrities who aren't in shape. So I don't know if that, but it's overgeneralizing to stay stuck. And when you really use objective thinking, you can kind of look at a problem, because overgeneralizing is dangerous for ourselves because it just prevents us from being able to live more fully. You know, it's easy to overgeneralize. You know, that's like all diets are the same. Well, that's an all diets diets are bad. Well, got to be some good ones. I mean, you know, that's where people get really stuck in terms of making change. And when they can see which force is keeping them stuck, then we get into, you know, the positive force and get them unstuck.
So how do you get somebody out of a habit of thinking that way? What's you got any steps?
I do. So the first is so I created what's called and that's basically obstacle, opportunity, one decision. So whenever something's a problem, we always start at obstacle. We live here, we're like, it's an obstacle, I don't know a way out of it. I ask someone, well, do you want to change? Do you want the problem to change? Yes, I want the problem to change. Okay, are you willing to look at it differently? Yeah, sure. What are the current opportunities that exist in your life? This problem? Now, some people, back to obstacles, some people are committed to not changing. Oh, you're committed. Stop saying you want it. Be honest with yourself. You don't want it. Let's just call it what it is. Yes, I do. I do want to change. No, you don't. You're not even willing to look at it differently. First step is looking at it differently, becoming willing. And when you become willing, I always find it helpful to get pen to paper, because we in a loop that if we don't put pen to paper or put something, we're like solving it all in our brain, and then we end up falling back to the same place. Looking at it differently, making a decision. So when we make a decision, one decision from a problem as an opportunity, the outcome is them viewing it as an obstacle. Now, I know this stuff gets a little. I wanted to make sure in one decision I help people change about their lives so that we can more of what they wanted. And if I could help people make decisions from viewing opportunity, I mean, the outcomes have been tremendous. It's so simple that it seems silly, but it really works.
So I'm sure everyone listening says, okay, does this have the potential to make more money by following this?
I've made other people a lot more money than I've made. You know,
that's what a good teacher does usually.
Yeah, because right now, belief, not everyone, I'm not overgeneralizing, but the people who have this belief because of COVID, they are incapable of making or shifting careers, and or like they'll get stuck in believing one thing else, like, well, I'm a mechanic, so I just fix cars. And what I love to do is help people believe more themselves than they actually believe about themselves, and help they can do it. And so, you know, need more money, it's incredibly helpful to understand. And I'm a business owner and I've had several books, and I know you have too. It makes us better leaders when we can perceive our life differently. It helps us not be emotionally related and have that conversation with someone that we really give it a few hours before we intervene. And our partnerships in a better way. Like, you know, I have a partnership. I'm going to be launching a life coaching certification program, and I'm going to be partnering with someone into it in a very honest, vulnerable, open type of way. And it worked many years ago. I would have been like, well, what's mine? And what if I can do this myself? And it's just life. I really do believe if we believe life wants us, we can win, and are capable of making a lot of money if they want to do the work, though.
And what have you found with one decision and improving relationships? Does the same apply?
It does, because everyone's so different. And so, you know, I just got off the phone today with someone whose dad helping them get help because they're lost, been stuck in their life. They are making $1,300 a month. Their rent is $1,700, and they do electrical work. And right now, money is getting in the way of their relationship, and there's a lot of conflict. And so, for us, we have to help them create a language to get along because they love each other, and to take a look at what's happening and have on communication. So, you know, sometimes I find in relationships it's the ability to have compassion for each other. It's the will to show up and hear someone else. And it's not just all about like, let's just make one decision. It's just a decision that's going to lead to several other decisions that'll make it better.
Gotcha. All right, other than picking up and reading the book, which would be a great idea, what's one simple thing the listeners can do today to start making more authentic decisions? One thing.
Sure. I think that somebody today could draw a circle and put themselves in their name, and then put a line out for each person who they view is important in their, and you know, whether it's mom, dad, boss, coworker, spiritual advisor, whoever it is, and then of that, put whatever area in their life they want to improve. And what I would suggest, because it's really helpful if someone does this on paper, the people who could potentially help you with this area of your life would reach out to them, and you would just have a conversation, because there's mentorship and wisdom all around us. And a lot of people don't need to come to me. They have their own world in which they can make some positive change. And it's free to do that.
Excellent starting point. All right, Coach Mike, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. So where can listeners find the book and also learn more about you?
So it's available everywhere: Target, Walmart, Amazon, CoachMikeBear.com, and Coach socials. It's Bear like aspirin. So.
Good to clarify. Thank you. All right. Well, good luck with the book, and everybody find it at Target and Walmart. This is great. Very good news indeed. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks for being on the show, and look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you, Dr.
Take care. Okay, it's time for our audience question. Celine Sensler on Instagram wants to know if Power Blues and Vital Reds will break her fast. Good news, it will not. It turns out you're taking those polyphenols, which will be eaten by your gut buddies, and they'll in turn turn it into all sorts of really cool compounds that you'll learn all about in the energy paradox. So no, there's nothing in there that will break your fast, but an added bonus is because you are feeding your gut buddies, they've gotten what they want, and there's very cool data that you'll learn about in the energy paradox that because your gut buddies are happy and full, they will send messages to your brain that you're not hungry. And it's actually one of the tricks we use to initiate the program. So enjoy your Vital Reds and Power Blues. Great question. Okay, it's time for the review of the week. This week's review comes from Chris Belliston, who watched my interview with Dave Asprey and said, good information all the way through the video. I learned a few new things. Now I know how the word break fast is derived. Makes sense. Enjoyed your guest Dave Asprey and thought you both made some great points. Thanks again, Dr. Gundry. Sharing is caring. Well, thanks a lot, Chris. We appreciate it. I'm glad you liked that interview. Dave has always got some fascinating insights, and usually I like to give him a couple as well, so we go back now a long way. So thanks for watching. Tell your friends, and please tell everybody to tune in, because sharing is caring. And I'm Dr. Gundry, and I'm always looking out for you. Before you go, I just wanted to remind you that you can find the show on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. Because I'm Dr. Gundry, and I'm always looking out for you.